Okay, I'm going to show you a marketing method that can get you in trouble. That sounded bad. Not legal trouble, but you have to use this with caution and use it with care. Otherwise, you could upset people, and you don't want to do that. And this is important because sometimes good copy is just not enough to do it. For example, you know how people say you gotta sell with emotion and don't use logic and stuff? That's true sometimes, but not all the time. Let's say you sell something for $100, all right? And you're selling to somebody who makes enough money to where $100 is not gonna change their life, but they're stuck on that $100. You know it's not a big deal. They know it's not a big deal, but for whatever reason, the $100, they're just stuck on it. So we could try to use as much emotion as we could. We could try to make these giant promises. They're not gonna budge. They're stuck on this illogical thing where $100 is just too much. Now, what are we going to do? Well, we have to fight logic with logic using close stacking. And really, this is a nice way of saying we have to make them realize how stupid the objection is, all right? But it only works if the objection truly is stupid. What most marketers do is they make bigger promises and talk louder and all of this stuff, and they ultimately end up discounting their stuff. We're not going to do that. Instead, we'll use this little technique. Let's say your thing can, whatever it is, can get them their dream outcome in a year or a month or whatever a reasonable amount of time is, all right? What you want to do is you want to take the price of the thing and then divide it by the amount of days that it takes for them to get the dream outcome legitimately. Don't be making it up or whatever. If it takes me a year, it doesn't matter. All right. So I'll show this to you by using Ojoy as an example. So it's free to try. If you want to keep using it, it's $49 a month. Great. You're going to get results if you like it and keep using it. Obviously, it's going to write good copy for you, and you'll easily notice a difference within 30 days. No question. So we'll use that month. We have to do math. That's the last thing we want to do. Instead, it'd be easier to use AI. All right, so I'll give you the prompt template. Just use the transcripts from this and steal it, and then I'll give you a real example prompt. So the prompt template is this. First, I should tell you, get your sales letter that you've already got and paste it into AI, and then be hey, this is my sales letter for insert thing. It costs insert amount, and it helps market get big results. And list multiple results that it helps them get. Then say, will you please write an apples to oranges close stack for this? Like I said, it costs X dollars, so find out what the daily cost would be if we spread that amount out over X days. Then help me find 5 or 10 totally trivial and stupid things that they could buy for that daily amount. And then let's come up with different ways of asking them which one they would rather have. The dumb thing they could get for the trivial amount of money that it costs daily, or the big result. And we want a lot of those different examples that we can use. And the main purpose of this is to make them realize that it's absolutely silly to be worried about price, because price really isn't a big deal, especially when you compare it to the dumb stuff they could spend the money on. All right, so that's your prompt template. So for me, with Ojoy, it's a free trial anyway, but let's just say there's no trial. I would say something like this. Here's my sales letter for this software called Ojoy.ai. It's $49 a month. That software that helps people use AI to get more customers and more sales consistently and increase their conversions and get more prospects knowing about their business and coming to their business by writing good sales copy and content that actually works. Please help me write an apples to oranges close stack for it. Like I said, it costs $49 a month, so we need to take that $49 and the 30 days that are in a month, and then figure out what the daily cost would be. Then I want you to help me find 5 or 10 stupid things that they could get for whatever that daily cost is, and help me come up with different ways to ask them, hey, which would you rather have? This dumb thing that you could buy for the daily cost, or the cool result that you can get when you use Ojoy? All right, so that's the real prompt that I would use. First of all, you'll get your daily amount. Mine's $1.61. Ooh, right? And then AI can give you some examples of dumb stuff you could get for $1.61. I like to go to Amazon and just see actual stupid stuff, personally, just so I know that I'm finding things, and it's also kind of fun. So I did it. All right. So if I were to use this close stack, I would use it after I've already presented like all the cool copy and everything. And I might put it in a PS or in a follow-up email or both. And then my copy might read something like, OJoy is $49 a month. Now, if you break that down, and let's just say a month is 30 days, that's $1.61 per day. Now, I just looked to see what you can get for $1.61. And here's what I found. You can get a 3.4 ounce pack of Jell-O pudding, pistachio flavored. Which would you rather have? Questionable small pack of Jell-O pudding powder? Or would you like to finally have sales copy that actually brings in customers and doesn't cost you money and doesn't waste your ad spend? Say, what we're doing is we're not making about $49 anymore. We're making that, like, okay, dude, this is clearly not the price. You can get a pack of Jell-O pudding. Seriously, I really found that on Amazon. Or you can actually get freaking sales copy that works. Which one would you rather have? So like psychologically, we're using logic now. We're not really using emotion because they're thinking they're using logic when they're stuck on the price point, but we gotta like logically demonstrate to them how silly that belief is. And you use like multiple examples. So another thing I found was a mini stick, travel size stick of deodorant, which was like under $1.61. So I could be like, I also found that you could get a travel size stick of deodorant for $1.61 because why, just stick your regular deodorant in your suitcase when you can get a weird travel sized one. So which is more important to you? A strange portable deodorant thingy or an email sequence that actually gets abandoned cart people to come back and finish their order? Which would you rather have? Another bit of clutter and another thing to keep up with? Or would you rather have like social media content that people actually pay attention to and that brings you business? See what I mean? It's logic and it's breaking their pattern of being fixated on the price. Now, depending on what the daily cost is, you can even break it down to hourly. So I did the unthinkable and used a calculator and found out that if we break $1.61 down to an hourly amount, it's 7 cents an hour. So you can actually be like, look, $1.61 breaks down on a daily basis to 7 cents an hour. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. Is your time worth more than 7 cents an hour? If not, then I understand. By all means, don't use the software. Continue struggling to write copy and, let's keep that 7 cents. But if your time's worth more than 7 cents an hour, doesn't it make sense to go ahead and just do this now and get copy that converts and not have to spend hours staring at the blank page and not have to deal with making less money and stuff? Obviously. So click here to order, yada. You get it, right? So that's number one. It's a fun one. It's cool as long as you're friendly about it. But the next one is where you gotta be cool and don't get in trouble with this. Again, there's nothing shady that you're doing, but you can come across as being unkind, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to be hurtful to anybody. And we're going to use one of the most psychologically manipulative things ever, which is to challenge their very identity. And the reason why this is so effective is God, I feel almost bad teaching this, but whenever someone says that they have a certain identity, I'm a good dad or whatever, and then somebody points out behavior that is not congruent with that identity that I have given myself, it's going to mess me up. And it's the same for everybody. So if you say you're an honest person, then how could you possibly do this, this, and this? It doesn't add up. And then they're like, my identity's messed up. I have to fix this immediately. So that's what we're doing. We just want to be cool about it, all right? So don't use this for evil or anything. Let me give you an example. We'll stick with OJoy, okay? So I guess before we do this prompt, we need to know a couple things. Number one, what is their self-identity as it relates to the stuff you're selling? So I suppose one way of looking at it is to say, okay, we want to challenge their stated identity, their self-proclaimed identity as fill in the blanks, by the fact that they're unwilling to quote unquote risk this daily amount. So here are the things that are typically associated with someone who is a blank, business owner, athlete, or whatever. And these are the outcomes that they usually get no matter what skill level they are. For athletes, it could be, they practice, they exercise, they eat right, they sleep right. I don't really know because I'm obviously not an athlete, but you get it. So you can just list all the things that they do, and then AI will help you come up with ways to challenge it. And another thing that you might want to do before, like going into this particular prompt I'll eventually give you is read all the stuff that they don't want, like for, I don't know, again, with athletes, I suppose it would be they don't want to lose, they don't want to be humiliated. They don't want to put in all of this work for nothing. Then you also might want to know what they want to achieve, right? So for parenting, the stuff that they strive for is okay, you want your children to be healthy, you want them to be happy, you want them to be well-adjusted, you want them to feel loved, you want them to feel safe, but you want them to be self-sufficient, etc. That one's way easier. But you get it, right? So the stuff they don't want, the stuff that they do want, we know our little trivial amount, and we know their stated identity, all right? So now we can say a prompt like this. I need help writing a close stack that challenges their identity as a blank, parent, whatever, because they're unwilling to risk daily price, $1.61 per day, let's say. And we want to make a very logical argument that clearly, if they were truly a blank, their self-proclaimed identity, they would not worry about this trivial amount of money. And these are the things they want. List the stuff they want, like well-adjusted children. They want their children to feel safe. They want to be well-adjusted. They want them to be independent, kind, honest, good people, happy, healthy, and so forth. So that's what they want. Here's the stuff that they don't want: disobedient children, disrespectful children, children that aren't aware of their own situations, that are vulnerable to bad guys and stuff. They don't want their children to be all hopped up on the reefer or anything like that and listen to the jazz music, And their current problems are they're worried about their kids. They feel guilty because they're not spending enough time with them, or the kids aren't getting good grades, or the kids are not listening to them, or whatever it is. I don't know. I have perfect children, so I'm very lucky. And ultimately, what we want to do is create just an argument that's okay, you say you're a good parent, but how could you possibly be a good parent if you're not willing to spend $1.61 to get all of this good stuff? And clearly, all this bad stuff isn't important to you because you're not even willing to spend $1.61 on it. And you say that you want to get rid of these problems that you're facing, but obviously you must not because you're not willing to spend $1.61 on them. So how could you even call yourself a good parent if you're not willing to do even the simplest basic things? We want to say that a lot nicer, all right? But that's kind of where we're going. So if you want to just copy the entire part of these transcripts into AI. It's really hard to do a generic version of this, but you can just say, hey, do this, but for my stuff. And if you're using Ojoy, it'll work, all right? So I'll tell you what I told Ojoy, and then I'll tell you what it said, all right? So when I told it, I was like, I got to read. I can't remember this. I have to read from my monitor here. Can we add another type of closed stack that challenges their identity as business owners? You say you have a business, but you can't risk $1.61. Is your business failing that much that you're worried about $1.61? Hell, you don't even have to risk $1.61 because you can try it for free. Maybe it's not about the money. Maybe you've just gotten used to stuff not working, used to bad conversions, used to not making any money. Or have you just given up? Are you so uncommitted to growing your business that you're not even willing to risk $1.61 to get good sales copy and to finally start selling stuff consistently? Or maybe you've just gotten used to it. And maybe that's why you're struggling, because you've just gotten used to low conversions. You've gotten used to being ignored on social media. You've gotten used to running ads and not making any money. You've gotten used to your friends laughing at you behind your back. That's what I told Ojoy, right? So that's a little harsh, but Ojoy will write it nicer. So I actually have, and I'll read it to you. So we're gonna have to look away from the camera. Maybe you don't really have a business. Maybe you're just pretending to be an entrepreneur. Maybe this whole thing's a hobby. Hey, that's cool. If that's it, then please don't try it. No point in wasting time. But if you really do have a business, then it doesn't make sense that you would worry about $1.61. Actually, it doesn't even make sense that you would be reading this. Maybe you don't believe in your own product. Maybe you're worried that if you actually do start getting sales, then now you're going to have to deliver on your promises and you're afraid that you won't be able to. Maybe you're worried that people will find out that you're not as good as you say you are. And if that's the case, then that's actually understandable. Everyone goes through that. It's called imposter syndrome. It's normal. And OJoy can help you with that. Here's what's going to happen. Either A, you'll get sales and you'll fulfill on your services and you'll discover that everything was fine and that you were actually worried about nothing. And that's probably going to be the case. Or it's possible that you'll get sales and you'll need to deliver and you'll discover that you need to level up your game. And if that's the case, all you got to do is level up your game. It's not that bad. So really both of those scenarios are fine. So if that's what's holding you back, because we both know it's not the $1.61, then that's understandable. But maybe it's something deeper. Maybe you're afraid of success, which sounds strange, at least on the surface. But if you start doing well, then what do people start expecting you to always do well and always maintain that same level of success? And if that's the case, that's understandable too. That's a legitimate fear. I've been there myself. It's a lot of pressure that we can put on ourselves because it's like you don't want to let anybody down. So yeah, I get it. I've been there. But here's what I've learned. As a general rule, being successful is better than not being successful. It's really as simple as that. So if that's the root cause of it, then again, it's time just to quit worrying about that and let's move forward. But maybe it's something else. Maybe it really is about the money. And if that's the case, I mean, if you legitimately can't swing $1.61 per day, then please don't get it. I don't want to take your last $1.61. Good Lord. Because if you legitimately can't come up with $1.61, you and I both know you've got much bigger problems than your sales copy or whatever. But if none of that sounds like you, then go ahead and give this a try. So you see how that's way nicer. We put a little bit of teeth into it at the end, but we were still nice about it. So everything was nice. We weren't like, you're a dummy. So you want to make sure that you do it properly, which again is why I strongly suggest you just take these transcripts, pop them into OJoy and be like, hey, I want to do the same thing this dude did, but with my stuff. Here's what my stuff is. Here's how much it costs. That'll be a lot easier than, trying to do it on your own. But generally speaking, if you challenge someone's identity that they have given themselves and you point out that what they're doing is not congruent, and you're just using logic, and you logically draw a case that, hey, what you're doing is not congruent with who you say you are, then they will do damn near everything possible to defend their position as, wait, no, I am who I say. And you'll sell more stuff. You won't close everybody, obviously, but you'll close more than if you didn't do it. Just make sure you're nice about it. Don't be mean to anybody. We don't want to do that. The easiest thing you could do, I know it's like a big commercial for OJoy, but seriously, this is what OJoy was made for. Just take the transcripts and slap the transcripts of this video in there and be like, hey, what's this dude talking about? Figure out how I can use the apples and oranges price comparison with my thing, and then figure out how I can use the identity challenge with my thing. And this is perfect to use at the end of a sales letter in your PS. It's perfect to use after you've done like the big pitch and the value stack and everything in a webinar. It's perfect to use in a phone sale if you have good rapport with the person and like you're nice about it and you have good tonality. It's really good to use in an email sequence, especially if someone started to order and they didn't. But please be nice about it and don't deliberately be hurtful. And none of this will work if what you're selling is no good. There's nothing can save you. Just don't bother with it if you're selling crap and selling empty promises or whatever. Obviously, this doesn't apply. But if you got good stuff, this will help you sell more. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, tell all your friends. And you'll never guess what my suggestion would be. Let's see. What could you try for free that might help you implement what we've discussed today. I don't know. No clue, but it'll come to me eventually. I don't know. Definitely not ojoy.ai. Yeah, you get it. All right. Thanks for paying attention. I hope this was helpful to you. Try it. Seriously, it's fun, and it'll help you sell more stuff. And special thank you to Dan Kennedy, because I got the apples to oranges idea from him years ago. So thank you, Dan, for that and everything else. All right, y'all. Take it easy.